Shalom. I'd like to start this lesson by saying Ka Halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and to the hopeful elect pushing his word and truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. In this lesson, we're going to talk about what's going to happen before, Yahweh Shai comes. More importantly, the wars, or the rumor of wars, right? Because they're going to implement the chip, which is what they're doing right now. But still, things need to happen before that, right? Because no missiles have been fired yet, as of yet. So wars haven't popped off yet, but they're about to pop off. So we're going to read from Luke 21. We're going to jump around in this. Luke 21. Actually, yeah, Luke 21:6. See how is Shai talking. As for these things which ye behold, the days will come in the which there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. So basically, the whole place is gonna be decimated. There's not gonna be any stones to even be thrown, right? No stones are gonna be on top of each other because everything's gonna be leveled. Okay. And they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be? And what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? And he said, Take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Right? So these things need to come to pass. You should hear of wars and commotions, but be not terrified, right? Verse 10. Then he said unto them, Nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Right? So that's the part I want to focus on, because there's so much in this chapter. So Biden is now the president as of right now. I don't know how long, depending on what Trump does. But there was an article I saw when I was RT News. So I have that app. Something said about that's interesting. Didn't even see that. Basically, something about Joe Biden and his policy and how, right there, I'll just read it from here. So this is on cancel. This is newsweek.com. I just typed in Joe Biden Iran policy. As Biden nears presidency, so this is 4 days ago. As Biden nears presidency, Israeli minister says his Iran policy could lead to war. Right? So I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's just talking about his, his road to being the president and everything like that. There's just an interesting part in here. I just got to find it, so bear with me. Okay, Biden, right here. Biden is a pro-Israel candidate and dismissed calls from progressive wing of his party to reevaluate America's relationship with its longtime ally. Democratic critics of Israel argue that Netanyahu, I believe that's pronounced his name, has overseen a raft of human rights abuses, pushed ahead with settlements on Palestinian land considered illegal by the United Nations and most of the international community, and annexed occupied foreign land with the threat to do the same in parts of the West Bank. But Biden has vowed an unshakable commitment to Israel's security, Israeli security. So Biden's best friends with Israel. Those are his friends. Okay? right? But now, if you see up here, all right, right, it is Biden's quote. Biden has said openly for a long time that he will go back to the nuclear agreement. Hanegbi said of Iran deal, officially called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. I see that as something that will lead to a confrontation between Israel and Iran. So, if Israel and Iran get in a confrontation, I mean, Biden's saying that he's best friends with Israel, so he's going to protect Israel because, those gutter rats over there. But Iran, in the scriptures, Iran is going to turn on America, or Babylon, right? It's in the scriptures. It's in the scriptures. I'm just going to read a little bit more. Okay. Okay, I'll read back on this part. But Biden has vowed an unshakable commitment to Israeli security. His administration is likely to try and rebuild bridges with Palestinian representatives, there we go, burned by Trump. But Biden is not expected to chart a radically different path on Israel, regardless of concerns about Netanyahu's conduct and policy. So he doesn't even care what Netanyahu's doing over there in Israel. Like, whatever crime he's committing, Biden doesn't care. He's like, I'm staying with Israel, right? Though Hanegbi, or I believe I'm pronouncing it, Hanegbi, told Army Radio he is not generally concerned about a Biden administration, the former vice president's willingness to re-engage with Iran is a problem for him. Netanyahu and much of Israel. He said that the JCPOA was mistaken, and that's an understatement. If Biden stays with that policy, there will, in the end, be a violent confrontation between Israel and Iran, he warned. Iran announced it will no longer abide by the JCPOA after the U.S. assassination of top commander Major General Qasem Soleimani in Iraq in January. Yeah, I remember they took him out. They assassinated him. So Iran announced it will no longer abide by I don't know what this policy is. But it's basically saying they're not going to abide with any policy that the U.S. gives them. Iraq. Biden will have to get Tehran to comply again, but has also suggested he would try and curb Iran's ballistic missile program and its use of regional proxies. Experts are skeptical he will succeed, and he has a small window. In June, the Iranian presidency will change hands, and most expect a hard-line conservative to take power. Okay. So you can see it's starting, the Most High is cooking up things where Iran is going to come against U.S., the Babylon. But it's funny. It's funny. It's in the scriptures. So let's go to Jeremiah. I'm not going to make this long. 50 and 14. I gotta read up higher so you can get to the point. Okay. Jeremiah 50 and 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. So assembly.
Strong's H 6951. Kahale.
You pronounce it Kahale. Assembly, company, congregation, convocation. There we go. Assembly for evil counsel, war, or invasion, religious purposes, company, congregation. Okay, and then we're going to go to the etymology of the word. Just make sure you got everything. 13th century, a gathering of persons, a group gathered for some purpose. for the purpose of shooting arrows. Assembly, gathering, union, marriage. It is going to be a union of nations, right? So a marriage of nations come against Babylon. To assemble, mean a gather, meaning a gathering together. The act of assembling parts or objects. Okay, so it's on that. Oh. Okay. Okay, I'll read it again. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. So right there, when he says arrows, it's referring to the missiles, right? Because the missiles look like arrows. And it's saying that they shall be as of a mighty expert man. So if you had like someone, an expert archer, when he shoots an arrow, he doesn't miss, right? So it's saying that these arrows are going to be shot by like a expert archer, or these missiles are going to be shot by like an expert launcher, and none of them will return in vain. So none of them are going to miss, right? They're going to be precise. They're going to hit their targets, right? And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord Yahweh. Right? So that Babylon's gonna be destroyed. Right? Everyone that shot the missiles at her is gonna be happy. Right? Because ye were glad, because ye rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage. So he's talking about Israel, destroying Israel. And then, because it's showing the 2/3 are being destroyed and be living in Babylon. And then on top of it, more importantly, the elect, are going to be tried, right? Because ye are grown fat as the heifer at grass and bellow as bulls. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. So your mother, the mother of Babylon is the UK, England, right? Because America came out of England, the Brits, right? So that's their mother. And she that bare you shall be ashamed, because they're ashamed of America, right? Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. Because of the wrath of the Lord Yahweh, it shall not be inhabited. So basically, it's talking about what happens when missiles get to land on Babylon. Like, it's going to be it's basically like that game Fallout. If you played that game Fallout before on the gaming system, it's like that. It's like a nuclear wasteland. All these weird creatures, deformed creatures, mutated creatures, right? Apparitions. It's going to be just like that. But it shall be a wholly desolate. It shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. Put yourself in array against her, Babylon. Oh, Salakia. Put yourself in array against Babylon, round about. So round about is saying put yourself against her. So be against Babylon, be against America, right? Surround her. All you that bend the bow, which is the missiles, shoot at her. Spare no arrow. So you shoot all your missiles. Don't waste. Don't save a single one, right? For she has sinned against Yahweh. Shout against her round about. She hath given her hand. Her foundations are fallen. Her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of Yahweh. Take vengeance upon her, as she hath done. Do unto her. Right? Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn every one to his people, and they shall flee every one to his own land. So that's what's happening right now. A lot of people are leaving, especially in NY. It's I haven't been there, but I know I'm reading from news and brothers that know people that live there. A lot of people are homeless now. People have left the city, and went back to their own lands, and not just in NY, other places around America, but just talking about that place, for example, because that's a big apple. But yeah, that's it on that. There is more, but that's the main point. because this policy that he has apparently is going to cause a turmoil between Israel and Iran. And he already said that he's with Israel, right? He's with Israel, which makes sense why Israel is going to be, that place needs to be decimated too. It makes total sense because it's connected with America. It's been drinking out of that cup, right? And you have that pink city and all that stuff. And that's supposed to be the holy place, Jerusalem. So that's why the missiles have to go there. They have to cleanse the place because it's just filthy, right? So it makes sense that these two are together, Israel and U.S., those gutter rats. So when this deal doesn't happen, because it seems like that's what's going to happen, the way Mosai is setting this up, that's when the war is going to pop off. Because Iran's with China, right? And China's with Russia. You see what Mosai did there. And Russia has other allies, right? You know, I think the Brexit, part of that too. So, like, yeah, Biden's going to be the last president. At least that's what I see. I don't see any other president after him. I don't believe Trump's going to be back. I mean, if he does, I mean, this is still going to happen. But I'm not sure if Trump is pro-Israel. Right? I have no idea. Right? But, yeah, if you want to read this article, I think that's it on that. You can read this article. You can read it. It's in Newsweek.com. All we do is prepare ourselves, you know, keep praying, keep working, keep studying, so we can get out of here. We're almost out of here. Almost out of here. Right? Right here. Let me just read this real quick. I think I read this earlier. Iran announced it will no longer abide by the JCPOA after the U.S. assassination of top commander Major General Qasem Soleimani in Iraq in January. I think a lot of people remember that. I did read this earlier. Biden will have to get Tehran to comply again, but has also suggested he would try and curb Iran's ballistic missile program and its use of regional proxies. So I did read that before, but I'm reading it again to make a point that this guy is going to try and stop Iran's ballistic missile program. And Iran's not going to allow that. They don't like the U.S., right? So they're, you know, it's funny. The one thing that, and America knows why America has, they know what they're doing. Why they're trying to stop this ballistic missile program, because they know these missiles, they know the prophecies. You know, they don't know all of them, but they know enough. That's why they have these bunkers. So, yeah, I hope this lesson was edifying. I'd like to close out by saying, Ka hala Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles of the great millstone, and to the hopeful elect pushing his word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. Death and destruction to this wicked kingdom, and the 2/3 as well. Kwam Yasharala, Baltabal, Shalom.